Cool. We good. Let me check.
One second.
Yep, we're live.
Yep, let's go.
All right, let's do this then. Let me close this. What happened to that? Okay, never mind. Cool. Oh no, wrong one. There we go. All right. Welcome everyone. Welcome to FPL Gameweek 8, the Wildcard podcast. With me, I've got Rushant and Abin. And Abin is also playing the Wildcard this week, so we'll be having a lot of Wildcard discussion. Rushant has already played his.
What do you mean?
And
He's
will be
playing the
basically...
second one now also.
What
Maybe.
second one?
I should have heard one for the first half, right?
Anyways, we'll be having a lot of wildcard discussion with in this week's podcast. Now, if you're new, do hit the subscribe button. We are trying to get to 75 and then probably 100, so I can change the URL to a more customed football chatbox URL. So do hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and get involved in the chat as well if you're watching live. So the agenda for today, and obviously I've got Heung-min Son and Phil Foden. We'll be discussing a few of those players. But the agenda is we'll be looking at the managers' teams, followed by the season ticker, team defense, team attack, midfield players, forward players, wildcard team, price changes, and our panel team, which did better than all of us for the last game week. But then that's because we hit the wildcard button. But let's start with Rushant, who did the best out of all of us, and he's actually killing it and has hit the top 100k now with a huge green arrow. 54 points. For the sake of a podcast, he had Sanchez, Livramento, I'm assuming came off the bench for Trent, Marcel, Duffy, Rafinha, Salah, Gray, Lukaku captain, Jimenez, and Antonio. Go ahead, Rush.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I did that much better than everyone else, but I guess I had a few differential players in Jimenez who have finally, he's been paying me off the last couple of weeks for having him in my team since like week 3. Which has been good. Yeah, I mean, the captain's choices again was nothing spectacular. I think it was one of the weeks where no one's captaincy options paid off, unless you're crazy enough to captain Salah versus City. But he proved everyone wrong, and it turned out to be the best captaincy option amongst the highly owned players. Yeah, I think Duffy and Livramento were really good for me. Just this little cheap budget defenders who, you know, sometimes are on my bench as the last option just because of injuries to Trent and obviously Alonso not playing, which was very, very shocking for me. It actually helped out in the sense that Livramento and Duffy were on my bench. So I guess it kind of goes back to this season with COVID and stuff, just having a really strong bench is critical. And then, yeah, midfield, just nothing spectacular. Just, yeah, Antonio blanking was good in general on the grand scheme of things because he's so highly owned. And, yeah.
I think I captained him, sad life.
Oh, yeah.
The 1 week I captained him, he didn't do anything. But Alonso drop in. That's going to be changing a few things in terms of wildcards as well. People might have been thinking to bring in Alonso now. Chilwell is back in the mix. Is Chilwell going to be like playing more often? I think the Alonso drop in was kind of coming because he got subbed off at halftime against Juventus as well. So maybe Tuchel was thinking about it. But Salah is probably right now the best player in the Premier League and on another level compared to everyone else. He scored against City, he scored against Chelsea. Basically, if you just put the captain's armband on this guy from the start of the season and never changed it, we would be way better.
Exactly.
Up next with another green arrow, Abin, 46 points. Foster in goal, Rudiger, Veltman, Semedo, Rafinha, Son, Benrahma, Gray, Salah, Ronaldo, and Antonio captain. Bought in Son early when we were discussing on the panel team as well week before. But the returns of Son came. Are you going to keep him on your wildcard?
Oh, I mean, we can discuss it later. He's killing me. But yeah, generally, I can't even remember most of these games because I watched it a couple of weeks ago. Was this a game that Feldman got that assist? Or no, was it a clean sheet?
Yeah, I think this was
Do you
that
remember one
because
game Feldman just kicked it straight up and he got an assist? I don't think it's this one. He would have got more because of that.
no, this is not the one. This is not the one. He scored at this. Yeah, no.
Yeah, it was generally I think similar teams to most to Russian everyone. It's just for instance, Sun. He came through for me. He's a big conundrum for me of keeping it going because it's a couple of tougher fixtures, but there's a lot of good fixtures after that as well. But yeah, captaincy pick was unfortunate. I think we keep making decisions based on, oh, look how tough the opponent is, look how tough the opponent is. And whenever that happens, we always, get blinded by good choices and I won't be doing that again. So we'll see.
Yeah, the basic lesson is stick the captaincy on Salah for the rest of the season.
Unbelievable. So I think I didn't play the season when because I only started playing last season. I think the season before that was it when Liverpool won the league or was it
Salah's points?
Or was it Salah's first season at Liverpool where he got like a record score of over 300 or something for the season, and now apparently he's way ahead of his best FPL season so far.
Yeah,
which is scary when everyone calls him a one-hit wonder. So.
Gone are the days. Now he should be talked about in terms of Premier League legends. Right. Now, my reason for playing the wildcard is because of this kind of score. So I had 44. Sanchez, Tierney, Rudiger, Semedo, Salah, Jota, Greenwood, Benrahma, Doucouré, Antonio captain, and Ronaldo. That midfield is the main reason I'm playing this wildcard. Otherwise, because I was planning on playing the wildcard in Gameweek 12 or 13. But that midfield just keeps to, like, the midfield three of Jota, Greenwood, and Benrahma continue to disappoint me. Sad life. And hence why I have decided to play the wildcard. But yeah, not too bad. I think my team will slightly alter, not too much. But I managed to bring in a few players. We'll discuss that as well a bit later in the in the video. All right, season ticker. So I've added the next 8 game weeks here. And I guess that's what we're going to be looking at in terms of if you want to build a wildcard team, you want to have a team for quite a long period of time where you only have to make 1 or 2 transfers slightly to bring in new players based on fixture swings and everything. So Leeds right on top of that in terms of overall. Any players from Leeds that interest you apart from maybe Rafinha? Or are you even considering Rafinha?
I am only considering Rafinha. There's nobody else to consider right now, to be honest. Because even if I wanted Bamford, there's no space for him, considering alternatives there are. But I saw earlier today, because Rafinha I'm not sure if Brazil have played yet. If they played last night or they're playing today. And
he has one. I think he has one game, which is about 35 to 36 hours before the Leeds game.
Yeah. And I'm not sure if there's any restrictions on the game, like uncertainty from last time internationals. If Brazilian players will be allowed to play as well.
I don't think so this time.
Yeah. So I'll keep a close eye on that because he'll still be my team, Rafinha. But nobody else. I'm not considering anyone else from Leeds at this stage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm also considering looking at Rafinha. I don't mind benching him if he's not going to play for 1 week because I don't want Rafinha. Yeah, I don't mind benching him for 1 week because if you're playing a wildcard team, you're most likely going to have a decent bench as well, and you'll be able to bring on players. Even so Leeds are playing Southampton. You could probably bring on Livramento for that 1 week if needed, and it seems like Livramento has kind of given returns in the last few game weeks as well.
Well, interesting because I only started looking at thinking of wildcard when you were telling me, and then I looked at a lot of versions, and it's hard to, I won't have Rafinha on the bench. He'll be starting because I'll have a cheap midfield if I want to get the defense and strikers that I want.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll look.
I mean, one option could be you could
Chelsea.
have Rafinha, and then if he doesn't play, then Livramento comes in as your first sub because if Rafinha
Yeah.
doesn't play, then I guess Leeds will be naturally less attacking.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah, so then Livramento has a better chance of getting clean sheet.
But what is Bamford's injury status? Because I feel like he'll be highly overlooked, but I think he's still a weapon. You know, I think if he's fit, he's very, very dangerous. And looking at Leeds' season ticker, Leeds are at the top of the league in terms of easiest fixtures, right? I heard talks that he might be back. Is that
Maybe. I'm not sure. I'm not
because
really sure.
if he's back, I mean, there's
yeah.
a Norwich game in there, Southampton game.
Yeah, that's
there's
the thing.
quite a few good fixtures. They still have Leicester's in there as well, which is great. We know how Leicester's not the best
defense.
well,
Yeah,
and Spurs aren't at the top of their.
Oh, Spurs are defensively bad this season.
Yeah, obviously great pick, but how do you fit him in with
Yeah, that's
obvious in the team?
Well, I'm just saying, as an option, he shouldn't discount him out just yet.
No, for sure not.
Chelsea up next. A lot of people are going two Chelsea defenders at the back with Lukaku up front. I think something to consider is also the reintroduction of Mason Mount, slightly being being eased back into the team, because I think Mason Mount is kind of like vital for that Chelsea team in terms of them clicking. And I think it's been noticeable when he's not been there the last few game weeks, where Chelsea's attack doesn't really click per se, and Lukaku is like kind of starved for service as well.
Yeah, I think Lukaku watched the game when they won 3-0. He barely got the ball. I mean, you know, it was a game week where he hits highly captain, and as FPL managers, you're hoping for Lukaku to score. And the one goal he scored got overturned, and he missed a sitter towards the end. So I just think that, so Chelsea are they got so many weapons. And we saw Chilwell was playing on a different level. And obviously, I brought in Alonso before Chilwell came in. I got him at before the Liverpool game as well. So for me, it was like, okay, Alonso is good at that point. After I watched the game, I would not have brought Alonso in, obviously. Do you know what I mean? It's a bit of a mixed bag, because Chilwell played so well that it's going to be really hard for him to now lose his spot, is what I feel like. And then talking about and Reece James as well for the right back position. Azpilicueta played pretty well. Do you know what I mean? At the end of the day, he played really well. He's such a versatile player. He can play centre back, but seemed like he can adapt. And that's why I think he's probably the safest pick in terms of all injuries and whatnot when it comes to Chelsea, because Rudiger is supposedly injured. Reece James is coming back from injury. Thiago Silva is sort of in and out of injury. So Chelsea if they have their 5 people playing, whoever's playing on the day probably has a really, really good return option. Yeah. But we just don't know who's going to play. That's the biggest problem with Chelsea, is who's going to play every game.
Yeah, because Rudiger was kind of like my certain start player, but then the Germany presser recently with him having been missing a game, and now with that yellow flag, I'm like, oh, what do I do now?
Lukaku's yellow flag?
Yeah, Lukaku's the yellow flag as well. So I think a lot is riding on Tuchel's press conference to kind of wait and see what happens to those two players. Because, now, Rush, you own Alonso, right? What are you going to do with Alonso? Because I'm sure there are a lot of players.
That's the thing. I don't even know. I'm just hoping. It seems like he's not gonna. Because I got him at 5.7, so I'm not too concerned about a price drop. So for me, I can afford to keep him in for a week or two to see what's happening with Chelsea. I'm not in a rush to drop him right now, even if he has his price drop. So that's my plan. I'll probably just keep him start him. If he doesn't play, fine. I use my bench for this week. In the long term, I'd probably be looking to drop him. I'll swap him with a different Chelsea defender. The only logical thing to do. What's the point of having a $6 million defender who doesn't play, right?
Yeah.
So
defender.
Exactly, that's the thing. Here's the question then. If you all were to pick Chelsea assets, 3 assets that you could, let's say people want to have 3 assets in their team, which 3 assets would you go for? I guess Lukaku will be one, but who would be the other 2?
Azpilicueta and Rudiger. I mean, I'm sure Mount is a great option, but it's I think there's a lot of options there.
Yeah, I think if you were to pick 3, which I don't think there's And I understand people are doubling up on the Chelsea defense, which probably could work for you at certain weeks, but especially against some of the easy fixtures coming up. But looking at the fixtures, Brentford have scored. They are scoring. Norwich is probably a guaranteed clean sheet, like in a way on paper. Newcastle are scoring, and Leicester's back on the scoring. Even though they're defensively bad, they're still attacking. Looking at these games, yes, there will be some good defensive pressure. It's going to be hard for the teams to score against Chelsea, but I never ever double up on defense. So I don't think I'll be going with a double Chelsea option. So if I was to diversify my Chelsea, then I'd probably still look at the Lukaku. You can't drop Lukaku for the time being, at least until their fixtures get a bit sort of turned.
Harder, which is like long
exactly. Time away. And if Rudiger's injury is not as bad as it seems, I think he will be my preferred defensive option from Chelsea.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so that's what I'm looking at. Like, because there are people talking about double Chelsea and double City at the back. So like big at the back type of formations because of the fact that those two teams are very defensively strong. Yeah. But like you kind of said that doubling up on defenses, sometimes it works because I remember last season we doubled up on like Chelsea defense and all of that because they were like rock solid and we knew that they were performing back to back. But like now I guess there are alternatives elsewhere, and also with the fact that it just takes one goal to kind of knock all your points off.
That, like, and I understand that like there's a big. I've been looking at it as well, double up on City defense with Cancelo, Diaz, and stuff. But you got to remember there is Champions League this month, and when Champions League kicks in is when Pep Roulette kicks in as well. And we know the uncertainty of City players from last season. So far, he has proved himself wrong, but all it takes is one game week for him to go into Pep Roulette mode. In which case, you probably stick to Diaz, but Cancelo got rotated out. Even I understand they don't have many fullbacks right now, but he always finds a way. Like Stones hasn't played yet. There's so many players who Zinchenko is still on the bench, isn't he?
Yeah, he is bound to play. I won't be surprised if he plays this game.
Exactly. So there's a lot of rotation there. People are coming back from injury. De Bruyne is back. Ferran Torres hasn't played in a few games. He might play. So I'm not a big fan of this double up of defense, and especially at their price points. I think if you had their fixtures and they were much cheaper, I'm probably more inclined to double up on them. Obviously, it doesn't mean that they're going to give you the returns regardless. But I think having one Chelsea defender, having a City defender is essential. But doubling up, I don't think you can get away with not doubling up by finding value.
Yeah, fair enough.
I think if you do, I agree with all of that. I think if you do double up, that's a pretty expensive defense as well. So you're compromising on other areas of your lineup.
Yeah, I think playing devil's advocate, I think the only reason people are like going with that huge double at the back is because of the fact that the midfield isn't offering. So there aren't any premium options in midfield who are firing per se, and like a lot of budget players are the ones who we are talking about at the moment. Or who's catching the attention. So I guess that's the one reason I can see people, but I still wouldn't recommend, again, doubling up because it just takes one game for half your defense to lose its clean sheet and points. And that could be a bad game week if it happens like that. So that's one reason.
I know we're talking negative, and I know that a lot of people will be doubling up as well. And good on them, because I feel like that is, it's not, let's just say it's not completely a dumb idea to double up.
No, it's not. It could be a differential.
It could be a massive differential if you do. And even if the games they sort of lose one, if they score a goal, that you're bound to get some, because City's most likely going to win those games they concede anyway. You may scrape an assist from, you're looking at this attacking potentials as well. So Rudiger last week almost had a couple of assists. As we know, had assists. Cancelo is attacking. So all these players we're talking about who are premium are also a threat in the attack. Diaz is, having some crazy long passes into the box, in corners. So these guys aren't just purely sitting at the back and just waiting there and, protecting their goal. Yep. They're getting forward. They're getting into the box there. And that's why they are valued at that price point. So, even if you do lose out on that clean sheet, there's still a lot of chances of them giving you really, really good value up front.
Yeah. Fair enough. Good point. Southampton, only Livramento. Anyone looking at anyone else apart from Livramento? Adam Armstrong?
Yeah, I mean, in a perfect, if there weren't so many attacking options available right now,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
would be leaning towards the likes of Armstrong and all this. But we're just spoiled for choice. And as I said before, like FPL only allows us to have 3 forwards. If for some reason we were
Oh, you're gonna play 4 forwards. A
we
4-2-4.
100%. Like I just think that we're so spoiled for choice in forwards this time around. I think my formation this week might be a 5-2-3 if I'm not wrong, or it could be like a 4-2. Yeah, it could be 5-2-3 if I'm. It's
I mean, it's very possible.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's that heavy this time around, and we haven't even, and that's not even counting Ronaldo, who he might be like a Salah at one point if he starts getting into the scoring charts. He'll be like one of those undroppable players. So
Mm.
yeah, I mean Armstrong has got a lot of potential. I'm looking at all his stats. He seems like to be having a lot of expected goals involvement, and he's quick, but hasn't really delivered much points in the first 7 game weeks, which could be a big concern for managers. And
I've watched his games. I agree with you. He's very threatening, but he hasn't delivered. So it's just if he does score, he'll get all the bonus points and everything will come right after him. Surprising. I mean, what is the strike partner? Shea Adams. He was a good pick last year. He hasn't really fired anything this year. So.
And at a price point of 6 million, like if this was a season where you had no one else in attack apart from your Harry Kane's, I think he would be a really good option. But I think for him it'll be like a wait and see. Wait for one game he sort of attacks, and then his ownership will rise 100%. Like if he scores, if he gets some kind of returns at such a cheap price point, forget about Huang Hee-chan and Tony. This guy will be that guy easily.
Yeah. And Livramento must have basically at that price.
I think so. As your 4th or 5th defender,
you're
getting so much value, and Southampton have been really, really good defensively so far, and they've got relatively easier fixtures coming up as well, which could be good.
What do you reckon on Brentford's defenders? You look at a couple of their defenders; they're like a couple of the highest scoring defenders they are.
That's true. And they have after Chelsea, probably after Leicester, because they're on that list, right, for the season ticket. After Leicester, they probably have some really good fixtures as well. But the thing is, I think that in terms of Brentford, Tony and Mbeumo, who I got rid of, and now might have to bring back in kind of thing situation. But those two are the ones who are grabbing the attention because they're the ones. And do you really want to triple up on Brentford? Probably then that's where it gets like not really.
Yeah.
But there are options, I would say. I think in terms of let's talk like goalkeepers, right? In terms of goalkeepers, I think Raya is a good option. As a Brentford's defense in that specific case, because of the amount of saves he has to make, and he's a pretty good goalkeeper as well. So he gets the save points. They get the occasional clean sheet as well. And because when we look at all of us, like most of us having like Sanchez in goal, with Sanchez it's either a 2 or a 6. There is no points more than that. And if you want to get more points, like the Martinez of last season, then you probably need to, like Martinez, Meslier of last season, you need to find those goalkeepers who are going to have like more save shots and everything.
Yeah.
And I don't think Brighton is that team because Brighton's defensively very solid. They're not going to give too many chances to the opponent.
Yeah.
Brentford, on the other hand, gung-ho like Leeds last season. And which means they also have to face a lot of shots.
Yeah. I mean, Reyes, I think, being exactly how I thought Bachmann would have been for Watford, but he's disappointed and been injured because, I mean, like I said in one of the earlier first podcasts, they were really good defensively in the Championship. Hasn't been replicated in the league. So Reyes really done well for them. Another one I would also think of is Ramsdale. I think he's cheap. It looks like he's starting like the preferred goalie now. So I think he's a decent shot. Bonus points can be attached to him as well.
Yeah. So continue like
goalkeepers as well. I mean, like it was similar. We're not. I feel like this time around, because the price points for some of the premium goalkeepers have gone up a lot. You are stuck within a very small pool of the $4.5 million. And it's about picking that good fixtures in a way. But again, you're right. I think Sanchez is probably very, very highly owned, but he doesn't give you that extra points differential. Which you'd be expecting in a goalkeeper usually. And I'm okay with that, I think. And I think it's primarily because of the ownership rate. I'm not really worried too much about goalkeeper differences.
Yep.
If I was wild carding, I'd probably lean away from Sanchez just because of the fact that he's got City and Liverpool coming up.
Oh yeah, that's true.
But and also the fact that Ramsdale is now sort of leaning more towards that preferred option, and Raya's got easy fixtures as well. So yeah, I think if you are gonna change a goalkeeper, wildcard right now is probably the best way to do it. I wouldn't transfer in or transfer out a goalkeeper for points or as using a free transfer. I just don't see any value in that. But,
So if you had Sanchez, and if you needed to transfer someone in, who would you go, Raya or Ramsdale?
to be honest, I actually probably would still keep Sanchez. That's just I might do that, and if I have my $4 million Ben Foster or something, I'll play him for those 2 game weeks, which I don't have, but that's the part I would go down. And again, that's mainly because of the ownership. I know that, Sanchez, I don't know why. I think the ownership is probably the back of my head. I think Ramsdale is looking really, really good. Arsenal have been defensively
solid,
but again, they did have easier fixtures. They had very, very easy fixtures. And they, being a former top 4 team, you expected them to have some sort of clean fixtures. But
I mean, the next 4 is pretty okay.
True.
Leicester's us. Yeah. I'm leaning towards Ramsdale. But it could change very quickly, Raya. We'll see how it goes. I want to get some sort of presence of Brentford, but the problem is they've got Chelsea next, so that's the only thing. But I don't. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. So this is I've changed the season ticker now to like season ticker sorted by defense. So a few teams might have changed up and down. Another team, let me just switch to this stat. So this is the last 4 game weeks in terms of defenses and the teams in terms of defense. Arsenal, they're right on top. They've improved their defense. It's showing on the stats as well. I remember we did it like this in like game week 6 or something, and Arsenal were right at bottom. And now they've improved significantly. But so Man City and Brighton still on top there, defensively very solid. Tottenham, Norwich right at the bottom. So target Norwich players, I guess, and that's where like Lukaku is playing Norwich in a few weeks. Tony could be playing Norwich in a few weeks. Rafinha is playing as well, so I guess you have those players to target Norwich. Spurs down there as well. Interestingly, Spurs have conceded more goals than they should have. So they had an XG of 7.99, but they have considered 10 goals. So they've considered 2 more than what they should have in the last 4 game weeks. Can you see Spurs improving in terms of defense or even attack? No, let's forget about defense because I don't think any of us are going to. But do you think they'll improve in attack at least?
I think so. I think, and if they do, they'll be very, very dangerous. And I think Son's already showing signs of it. Son and Kane were on a different level last season. People keep forgetting that because Kane's gone through a bit of drama this season. But I think Kane's off to a really slow start. If Kane does get into a bit of form, I don't know. I've got to ask for FPL for some money to borrow or something to increase my budget because I don't know how I'm going to fit all these guys on my team. If Kane and the Son started going back into their sort of attacking runs, FPL will break, essentially. With Ronaldo coming through, Lukaku, it's going to be the differentials each week is going to jump. It's not, there's no template anymore. Let's forget about template. You can't fit Salah, Son, Kane, Lukaku, Ronaldo in your team.
Yeah, poor Fernandes. He was the god.
Exactly.
We haven't even talked about Fernandes' really good run coming up in the 3 weeks or 4 weeks time.
I hope he gets us wrong and he just delivers.
He's going to. He's still got the underlying stats.
His stats are still there, and we'll look at it. Yeah, it's still there.
I don't know. I think if I was to bring someone in right now, and obviously not now for the Newcastle game at least, Son, easily. I don't question it, easily. 3 games after that, maybe if you're patient to keep him in, I think you still keep him in, and then
So going back to like the whole defense and everything. So goalkeepers, we kind of like went with 3 goalkeepers: Ramsdale, Raya, and Sanchez at the moment. Would there be any other keepers that you would recommend apart from those 3? Or
keepers wise?
Yeah.
It's not anyone else really calling
performing per se. Yeah.
I just think it'll be one of those 3 in your teams. You can go with your $6 million Chelsea or or Edison's or your Mendy's. But again, is it really worth it? I don't think so. So I think I'll be very surprised if someone's got a keeper outside of those three in their wildcard. I just don't see any feasible options, really.
Yeah.
I mean,
I guess the off chance is Meslier because of Leeds' upcoming fixtures.
True. Yes, you're right. And at the farm, and maybe a Jose Sarr, but not really.
Yeah, not really any inspiring ones. Probably keep, because of the fact that there are so many of these forward players and everyone that we want, that maybe the 4.5 goalkeeper options are the best. That FGV. Hello, welcome to the chat. Okay, so Man City, we spoke about Man City in terms of defenses, Cancelo, Diaz, right? Probably no one else because Pep Roulette and everything else. Brighton, Duffy. Would you keep Duffy? Would you get Duffy?
I don't think I'll get Duffy. I think if you had him, I'd keep him. But I think he's has great returns for Rush. I think he's like one of the higher. He's increased in value a lot. But yeah, we'll see how the weeks go. I think I'm not sure where Lamptey is right now or how far he is from coming back. Lewis Dunk's not going to get kicked off the team. Veltman won't. So we'll see how where Duffy fits in after all that settles down.
Yeah, I think you're right. I agree with Abin completely because there's no if you are to plan yourself to restructure your team, I guess as part of your wild card, I don't think it'll make sense because Brighton did have the first 7 game weeks were probably much more better than their next 7 game weeks. So yeah, I think in terms of bringing him at 4.3, look, he could be still that 5th defender. Don't get me wrong. He's not. Shouldn't completely write him off. If I'm keeping him, I'm not dropping him just because of value and just keeping him just because he's cheap. But yeah, I guess it really depends on your team composition and your budgetary allowance and what's your plan of defenders really. But having a Duffy in or
fair enough. In the chat, I have a comment. Is Rafinha player? Rafinha Gameweek 8. Maybe we have to see Bielsa's press conference and decide. Arsenal. Any Arsenal defenders? Oh, it's just Ramsdale the only
you
option.
Consider White if you wanted to. I had him early in the season, but he did nothing for me. So yeah.
Tierney?
Yeah, there's Tierney, Tomiyasu, and White. I guess interesting. Sort of the less than $5 million options. More so like in the $4.5 million for Tomiyasu and White especially, and who have given returns in the last 4 game weeks. I mean, look, FPL wise, it probably isn't the worst decision to bring in an Arsenal defender. It probably is a smart thing just because they're cheap. Me personally, I'm just always been disappointed by my Arsenal players in my team, but hey, I could be wrong.
Now, as every minute goes in this podcast, I'm rethinking my Wilcard team. So, having said all of that, so this is the season ticker for attack. It's sorted by Chelsea right on top for attack, Tottenham there, and I guess the prospects for Heung-min Son seems a bit better when we look at the season ticker on attack. Leeds still there, Brentford up there, talking about Tony, Mbeumo, could be very useful after Leicester. The next set of fixtures for them, Norwich especially very tempting to target. Then Southampton, Wolves, City, all the way at the bottom. West Ham, Watford, United. United is a very interesting team, I would say, in this run-up. Because as United fans, I think this is a time when they actually perform in the tougher games. It's funny to say that, but they do.
Yeah. It's true though. If you look at last season, where they drop points is all the bottom half teams. So
exactly.
And who cares about FPL? We hope they do well.
because this is where Solskjaer goes, my job is on the line, and this is where he kind of like pulls it out of the bag and performs.
Yeah, well, hopefully he finds a formation that is good. Not being so conservative. So.
If you had Ronaldo, would you keep him for one more game week against Leicester?
Tough question. I don't know. I don't know.
If you're not playing the wild card.
If you're not playing the wild card.
Yeah.
If I'm not playing the wild card and I saw Lukaku was injured, I'll keep him in.
Yeah. Okay.
If Lukaku was fit and he scored for Belgium over the weekend, I'll be very, very concerned. Let's just put it that way. I'm just glad he's injured.
Okay.
If I had Ronaldo in my team, I'd be glad Lukaku has the injury status.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so let's go into the team attack. So this is team attack for the last 4 game weeks, and we'll come to Sun as well. So Liverpool right on top of there. Again, I told you, United. This is the fixtures they kind of perform. They are second on the attack list in the last 4 game weeks, although they haven't scored per se too much in the games. But then Chelsea in third, Lukaku right there. Brentford, we're talking about Tony. Maybe should we actually put Tony in the wildcard squad or Mbeumo in the wildcard squad and just bench them for the Chelsea game, so that we don't have to make that transfer in the future. City on there as well. Right at the bottom, Tottenham. We're talking about Sun, Tottenham at the bottom. Maybe maybe Spurs improve, maybe Spurs don't improve, and that was a off game. We don't know. Norwich are just dead and buried. At the start, I told they were going to get relegated, and that's what's happening. Southampton, they're at the bottom, but I think Southampton now are too good a team to stay at the bottom. The only problem with looking at Southampton's stats there is that they've been defensively solid, which makes me kind of say, because they need goals, they might start opening up a bit more, and they need wins. So it's a bit of a thing bit of a concern, but we'll see.
Who would you consider?
Yeah,
who would you consider at United if you're not having Ronaldo to deliver for you?
Marcus Rashford.
Yeah. See, this is going to be an interesting.
Is he fit?
He's getting fit. Yeah, he should be on in I won't be surprised if he plays some part in the Liverpool game.
Yeah, I mean, again,
I don't know. To be honest,
we can't afford these players. We want to have enough teams. I'm gonna have to go with dropping goalkeepers and going with $4 million goalkeepers at some point. Yeah.
Sam is like Ronaldo at 12.6 has become a differential. Probably very soon. Not yet. Yeah,
he's not starting. Problem. But,
yeah.
Yeah, true.
Oh yeah, one thing to consider: Southampton had United, City, and Chelsea. Was that in the last 4? Maybe. I'm not really sure. Anyways, so that's team attack. I'm just gonna brain on midfield.
When is Sancho going to deliver?
Oh, I don't know. We don't know. When is he going to start games? We don't know. But yeah,
They spent $80 million for that.
I don't know. That's a different story. That's not my job. I'm the manager of my own FPL team, not Manchester United.
I can't support the United jumper without making some comments about Sancho, Brian.
Yeah. I mean, he performed for England in the international break. Let's see whether he plays now. For some reason, international break, Southgate prefers him over Solskjaer for some reason. We'll see. But I think he needs to play.
Who's United's central defense with Varane gone?
Oh yes, now everyone's injured. That's another issue.
Maguire's gone.
Yeah. We have
Lindelof
Lindelof
for
and
a good period of time. He could miss up to 6-7 games.
oh no, that's the tough run.
Not Premier League games. I'm including Champions League.
Oh okay.
Maguire.
I mean,
No, Varane.
Okay, yeah, sorry.
yeah. Oh well, we'll see. It's a Lindelof and Eric Bailly combination, which isn't too bad, but it's not great. Oh no comments.
The differential. Go for it.
Differential option.
No. Switching it back to midfielders. Salah right on top. Definitely captaincy option. No two ways about it for this week at least. There are differentials, but I mean, Salah just heads and tails. The only thing that I would say for Liverpool is the fact that they probably won't have Alisson, Fabinho with all the Brazil game being very late. So that's the one thing that I'm not sure. But I think Salah is just too good to not captain. But apart from that, Mane just below him. Luis Zaha, anyone considering wildcard?
Yeah, Crystal Palace actually interesting. They with Vieira, they seem some games you look at them, they look like a really, really good team, and some games they're just the usual Crystal Palace we know.
And against Leicester, they were very good. Leicester somehow got a 2-0 lead and didn't deserve it. They were all over them, Crystal Palace. So a couple of good games. I mean, they beat Spurs, Gallagher.
Exactly. I mean, look at that list. You got top 10 midfielders. You got 2 Crystal Palace players. Do you know what I mean? So it's there for a reason. And I think I wouldn't say it's the worst idea in the world if you do include him in your wildcard. Their fixtures aren't the hardest as well, right? They've got a mixed bag of fixtures with, I guess, slightly easing in to be more easier towards the
Arsenal and Newcastle,
exactly.
City a bit tough, but then after that it gets a bit more
And
easier.
even that City game, isn't that kind of between Champions League fixtures as well? So you don't know which City team might.
Oh yeah,
I'm not
that's
sure.
true.
So yeah, I think look, I mean, Crystal Palace isn't the worst idea either. Zaha is probably
Could
on
be an
penalties
option.
as well. We mentioned that last week in our last podcast.
Yep. 7 million, not too bad. Mbeumo up there, and now I'm wondering why the hell did I get rid of him? Maybe I should have just got rid of like a Jota or a Greenwood or someone and just kept my Mbeumo so that I didn't have to make the transfer again. But here I am, missing out on his returns and also now wondering whether I should bring him back in. But I'll have to see. That's something I have to consider, kind of see, and like whether I bring him in now or not. Bruno Fernandes, I'm going to miss Jota because Jota is always on these charts, and Jota is an up and down player that I don't want to even talk about anymore. The guy will score sometimes, the guy will not score at times. But Bruno Fernandes is still on those, like you mentioned before, the underlying stats are there. The question is, he's not delivering in terms of like, maybe he's not just getting the points anymore. But seems like he still has penalties at the moment, at least. We'll have to see.
Ronaldo scored a couple of penalties last night, so watch out.
Oh, okay. So there goes his penalties. But we'll see.
Well, I mean, the thing is, like, Bruno is, look, if the fixture, we're talking about Bruno right now because United have a very tough run of fixtures on paper.
Probably not this.
I think he will be a very, very viable candidate once the fixtures turn. I actually probably prefer him over Ronaldo first. It is interesting, look, his price is dropping. Do you know what I mean? Like $12 million, we were questioning him. If he's $11.6 million player and in midfield, and he is going to be on a lot of set pieces, he is their probably second most goal scoring threat, I would say, after Ronaldo. I'm not saying I'm not going to not have Ronaldo as well, but I would probably even looking at doubling up at some point in the future.
For me, long may his price drop until it comes to that Gameweek run. If it drops below 11.5, I am finding a way to get him in. So please continue to drop. Anyone who's selling him, please continue to sell. It's just like Chuba. Chuba started off very expensive, fell, and now he's at a decent price.
5.8?
5.6.
6 from
Yeah, so I mean, if Bruno Fernandes drops below 11.5, I'm completely for it. Someone I've highlighted, Rafinha, really good fixtures. It's just that we're not sure that he's going to play this upcoming week or not, because of the Brazil fixture. So probably have to highlight it. I mean, have to wait and see with Bielsa's press conference. But would you get him on the wildcard and at least bench him if needed? Or probably start him?
He's been in my team since day one. I'm keeping him.
Yeah.
I'll keep him as well. I see no reason why I should drop reference this year. I mean, he's going to miss one game with Brazil. Fine, big deal. I mean, fixture's too good. He's very attacking. If Bamford isn't there, he is their main player. 6.6, you can't find a better midfielder at 6.6. He's going to give you that much attacking threat.
Yeah, fair enough. I think he's still that 6.6 is too undervalued 100%. For what he performs. Another player I highlighted, Heung-min Son. So we saw Spurs attack-wise in terms of expected goals, they are not that great, but Heung-min Son is in this list for like the top 20 midfielders for expected goal involvement. And obviously he got the assist on the week, and he scored a goal as well on international break. So he's kind of gathering some form for himself at least. And upcoming game against Newcastle, I mean, probably a good option to play, especially now that Newcastle have been bought over and now the richest club in the world, and we'll have Mbappe and Neymar and all of that in next season. But you never know. The owners could be wanting to see attacking football from Newcastle this week, and that could probably create spaces for Son to exploit.
Look, I've had Son, I think probably from day one as well. And looking at his results, he's delivered four out of the 7 weeks for me. So and one time he didn't play, but the rest of the time he is their main man, with Kane not showing up yet. He's a conundrum. Like I said earlier, it's a conundrum for me because he is spoiling me from getting other players I want in the team. But at hard for me to drop him.
Yeah, for me, like Son actually makes me scared. Not having him in my team, I have a fear.
Yes, fear.
Against, it's the Newcastle game is probably one thing.
Yeah.
But just in general, like, watched him last week. He was a machine. Like, he was so quick. He made the Villa defense look like a joke. Okay, and I think as you said, Kane is not. I don't know what world Kane is playing football in, but Son looked very switched on. He looked like the most dangerous player on the field by far. Like, there was no competition. Not having him against the Newcastle defense, who conceded a lot of goals, it's make you not sleep at night. But I mean, look, I mean, what's going to happen if he scores a couple of goals? His price is going to increase by 2.2 easily. That's my other fear as well. In terms of FPL, it's sad because I had a way of bringing Son in this week before his price rise,
and you didn't. Oh, their prices came out of nowhere.
Price rise. I have 2.4 in my bank. I have Jota at 7.6. It was going to be as simple as that. Click. Now I don't have 0.1, so I'm really in a bit of a conundrum. And maybe it's a good thing. Maybe the 3 game weeks after is a hard fixtures, and maybe that's why.
Fair enough.
It's a good thing, but yeah, I think
I don't know. I'm just looking at those fixtures and I'm like, where is it? The Southampton, Spurs, West Ham, Man United, Everton. All 3 defenses aren't that great, to be honest, except for maybe Everton, who improved a bit. But yeah. Here I am at the moment wondering to get Son in, and I'm like, yes, please just continue to ignore him, people. Let him be a differential. Because the last thing I want is another template team when I'm trying to climb up the ranks.
Sure.
Saka, another highlighted player. Arsenal options in terms of going forward.
Yeah.
Are you considering anyone?
Him and Smith Rowe, I think.
Yeah.
One to consider. I think the only way I think I could really afford Smith Rowe, to be honest, out of the 2. Getting for $1 million less, I would consider it just because they got a good run of fixtures as well coming up.
Fair enough. Another thing I wanted to highlight, because I was listening to the Scoutcast today in the morning. City are playing Burnley, and in the last, I think, 3 or 4 fixtures, they have beaten Burnley 5-0 consecutively. And now they're playing Burnley again. Like, they have a decent 3 fixtures upcoming at least. Okay, maybe Brighton is going to be a tough one because Brighton is a pretty decent team. But Burnley, Crystal Palace, even United could be an easy fixture with us not having a proper defense. Everton, West Ham.
Look at this guy. Is he talking shit?
I hope I'm wrong.
I think our earlier idea of starting kicking Ryan off is probably
Oh no!
We're starting a new program.
Yeah, welcome guys.
No.
Ryan is officially out of the channel.
Oh no! Okay, Roy has replaced me.
I'm joking.
No, I'm just joking. This is it. I back the United team to kind of pull Solskjaer out of this. If not, we get Zidane as manager or someone as manager. Who knows? But are you looking at any City players in attack?
For sure. I'm looking at a few. Watching how good was that Liverpool City game? I watched it again today.
Yeah.
It's so good. Foden caught my eye in that game. I thought he had a great game. So between him and Grealish to get him on the team, don't know who.
Grealish, it doesn't seem like he's getting those. So he's on this chart, but he's not getting those points for some reason.
Yeah.
He has the numbers, but FPL wise, I'm not like. I was watching the game. I was like, Foden's really good.
Yeah, it's not having the same points that he had in Villa days, right? It's So Foden is just early case of is he going to start or not? But I think
that's the concern as well. I think Foden is really really good value at 7.9. Is he 8 million? 7.9.
7.9.
Yeah. I think the problem is Champions League, and in Pep's best 11, Foden's there. I think right now he's guaranteed, which means in these games like Burnley, Brighton, and stuff, is he really going to feature much? I don't know. that's the problem. Like, this is when I think Pep Roulette kicks in, and having that confidence of having the people sort of, you're already having heaps of COVID related injury, like, and people sort of, we've been talking about good bench and stuff, but we want to have the ideal scenarios. We have 11 players playing, and having a $7.9 million player on your bench not playing could be a big concern, really.
Costly. What do you call? Sam says Jesus maybe for next game week. True, but I think because the Brazil thing could be an issue. Things will change when KDB clicks. KDB is another player that I'm looking at. I'm like, the thing is, he hasn't clicked it as an FPL option.
Yeah.
But when he does, he's like, he's a must.
And then wait, who are you gonna get rid of?
I don't know. like Rushan said at the start of the podcast, we go to the FBL bank and ask for a loan.
Look, I think KDB has always featured in my team. I think I've been playing FPL for only like 4 or 5 years, maybe, or 5 years. But last couple of years, he's been heavily part of my team, and he's been a very, very good captaincy option for me as well. And kind of a differential, because at that price point, people tend to overlook him again with Pep Roulette and stuff. But yeah, I think I maybe got lucky with the games he played. But whenever he plays, he just finds a way. He just, whether it be free kicks, whether it be pens, if he's on pens on that day. But
he's that one guy who is like immune to Pep Roulette. I won't say immune, but like more nailed.
Yeah, I think, and I think that was because like even last season, we saw the players who were guaranteed were Edison, KDB.
Yeah,
those are the 3 players who were nailed in every game.
So Rush, how are you getting him in?
Huming Sun to KDB.
Yeah, look, I think that's a different conversation. You have to sacrifice one of your premium forwards, or you know, like we talked about attack. I think if I was to seriously bring in KDB while having Sun, I'd probably have to give up either Ronaldo or Lukaku, and go with the front 3 of, you know, like Antonio, Tony, and sort of Armstrong, whatever. I mean, it really depends. Like, do you really want to?
Yeah. So this is why I wanted a wildcard in Gameweek 12, because that's when all the big teams just click into really good fixtures, and then I'm like,
yeah. The thing is, KDB has a lot of good value as midfielder. So I mean, if KDB was performing versus Kane was performing, I'd probably lean towards KDB more.
Yeah,
you're getting the overall returns from everything. So.
Yeah. True. So that's something to keep a look in. Sam says midfield Grealish seems most nailed on. That's true, but FPL wise, he's not giving me the points, so I'm like, probably not. So that's midfield. Forward. Now, Ronaldo, minutes sorted by minutes per XGI. Ronaldo right on top of that, and here we are thinking of getting rid of Ronaldo when I think he probably could get a few goals over the next few game weeks because of the fact that United do play well against the harder teams, or when they are backs against the ball, they do perform. Interestingly, second in that list, Timo Werner. Maybe we should be thinking about Timo Werner. Are we overlooking Timo Werner? He scored 2 for Germany as well. Seems like he's getting back his confidence and that form as well that we probably were expecting when he signed for Chelsea. Is he a consideration? Maybe if Lukaku is injured?
I mean, I actually think that the addition of Lukaku has helped him a lot.
Yeah.
Him being the central striker in the last couple of seasons, I just think that wasn't his role. I feel like he wasn't suitable for that primary target man, which Lukaku is right now. And having a presence like Lukaku in the box is really drawing attention of a lot of the heavy defenders sort of trying to mark him. And he takes up a lot to mark. Lukaku is not easy. He's a big unit. That kind of frees up Werner a lot more, who's much more quicker, much more pacier on the ball. He's finding a lot of outlets to like creep in, cutting in perfect timing as well. So he's not the worst option, but I think we're looking elsewhere in terms of attack right now. Right now, I think until he sort of, I know he scored a goal and stuff, but until he sort of, he needs to convince FPL managers a bit more to work. It's like Jesus. I think for me, he's like Jesus. Same price point, giving goals and assists, still not in anyone's teams.
Yeah.
Like Vardy. Jamie Vardy.
Everybody's a freak. He should be on everyone's team. I don't know why he's not on everyone's team.
He's 10.5, is he?
He's in our team, yeah. That's right.
Yeah, he's in the panel team. Jamie Vardy's in the panel team. We've been telling Jamie Vardy's name for the last 5 weeks. And we got him in the penalty. Like, we got him before he started scoring. We were like looking at the penalty and we were like, we need to get Jamie Vardy in. We need to get Jamie Vardy in.
That is
And the guy still, he's like you said on chat before, means Mr. Consistent. And the fixtures aren't too bad as well for Leicester. But he's just at that price point where everyone's like, we can spend a bit more and get to Lukaku. So, yeah. Anyone here on this forward line that interests you? You have Raul Jimenez. Keeping Raul
His
Jimenez.
strike partner, Wang Hee-chan.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Hwang Hee-chan, 5.6 million.
Yeah, why not? I want to know how long is Antonio going to be a must-have? Again, he's
See, this is like-
ruining
Yeah.
options for me.
He's becoming boring now, isn't he? He's becoming too boring to have a team.
No, see, this is the thing, right? I've asked people, and people have said, when Antonio's fit, no, this is what we've also said, right? When Antonio's fit, you keep Antonio, you play Antonio. But I'm thinking there could be a case met to drop Antonio, not now, but in a couple game weeks time. From game week 10 to like 7, it like gets really tough. So where is that fixture? So West Ham, there you go. From game week 11, right, all the way 15, it's a pretty tough set of fixtures. Even the ones that are blue are Wolves and Brighton, who have decent defenses.
As well. Okay, Everton, fine.
Yeah, Everton, Tottenham, not. Yeah.
Villa, okay, defense. Liverpool. I mean, it's tough games, that.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. So I'm like, I mean, I could probably keep him for the next two, but like, see, from game week 11 onwards, if you want to bring Tony, it's an easy swap to Tony. Look at Tony's fixtures compared to Antonio's. But then again, it goes back to the whole case of Antonio is just a premium asset.
Has he delivered? I know he's looks good and stuff. Has he delivered the points?
Antonio?
No, Tony.
Oh, Tony not per se. I wouldn't say too much. It's just that
the last couple of games, I did watch him as well. He's by far their best player. Let's just put it that way.
Who? Tony? Oh yeah.
Attacking wise, he's their main man. And Brentford aren't looking to get relegated this season.
No.
So, they actually haven't lost against top team, right? They drew against everyone. Right? So
like they're playing really confident football.
Yeah.
So, and he has pens. Tony has pens. That's another thing. Antonio, we're not sure. But the thing is, I'm just looking at playing the fixtures, right? You want to try and play the fixtures when we're put into these situations when you have too many options. Maybe the way to get an up on the majority is try and play the fixtures when everyone will be keeping Antonio. You could probably switch when Antonio's fixtures get harder. And
the only problem with dropping Antonio, I think this is the problem everyone's facing, is the 300k price you're gonna lose if.
The 0.3. Yeah.
That's because you probably got him at like 7.5 or 7.7 or whatever the case it is, and he's at 8 million now.
Yeah.
If you didn't already have him, fine. I wouldn't rush to bring him in. If you do have him, selling him and buying him back at 8 mil.
It's hard. Yeah, so that's the problem I'm having, because he's at 7.7 sell value and he's at 8 million right now, and I'm like,
I mean, you hope that you sell him and he doesn't perform the rest of the season, then happy days. I don't think that's the case with Antonio, and I think he will be delivering. I have no plans of dropping him at the moment. If I was to drop him for Tony, it might be even Jimenez if I did decide to do that at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyone else on this list who kind of interest you?
I mean, Saint Maximin has been having a good game, and now with his new owners as well, I'm a bit concerned. Like, what if he just becomes a crazy FPL asset? And
Newcastle will be an interesting team to look at from the January transfer window onwards.
Yeah.
I think they could make some shrewd signings.
Martial,
Van der Beek. You never know.
You're hating on United players again, are you?
Who? No, I think if I was...
I don't think it'd be a quick thing with Newcastle. I mean, first, find the manager. They have to get a manager that will attract all these big names. And who is that going to be? I don't know who that
Conte is available.
I mean, think of how did City start back 10, 12 years ago? Who was their first manager? I can't remember. Hughes. Was it Hughes?
He right?
Yeah, Hughes was manager for some point.
Hughes, and then moved on to Mancini.
Pellegrini.
And then slowly you have to get a big name and bring in these players, ridiculous salaries.
Right.
I don't think I don't think they'll be harmed this year.
Mourinho will be free by then.
Mourinho. You never know. So this is the forwards players. Moving on. Let's try and close it up as well soon. Wildcard team. Now, I have a team. Let me get it up here. Let me make sure that I haven't switched it to you. These guys don't see it. Yep. Okay. So let me switch this up here. Hold on a second. Trying to move things about. Oh no. Great. It's not picking it up. Okay, there we go. Bingo. All right, wildcard team. So I've got this at the moment for my wildcard draft. And throughout this podcast, as we were saying, Duffy.
Who you brought in? Who you brought in?
Whoever I brought in, brought in Duffy, Heung-min Son, Smith Rowe, Lukaku, Rafinha, Hwang. That's it.
Okay.
And the recent news that we got, was it yesterday or day before, of Trent being fit again. And now I'm like, oh, now I need to find a way to get him.
I thought about that as well. Like 5 minutes ago, we were talking about that. It's how can you ignore him? I saw videos of him training again. People putting out pictures. He's back.
Because then I was like, oh, okay, now how am I going to get Trent in? And then I was like, okay, if I get rid of Tierney, and then I put Trent in, I'm like, oops, I'm a bit short. Then I'm like, okay, then I need to kind of like get rid of Rudiger, put someone else in there, put another Chelsea defender. And then I'm like, okay, I need to find ways to like move about. Because I want to have Son as well, right? So it's becoming a bit more harder to have an expensive, really, because Trent is a kind of player that he will continue to perform when he's playing. And it's very hard to get him back in, which is an issue. Because I'm looking at this, I'm like, I don't think Brighton and West Ham are tough fixtures for Liverpool. The defense is pretty decent. It's just the United game that's going to be tough. But I don't mind benching Trent for that United game and like bringing someone else in that game. It's just that how do if I go without him, I can go without him for until maybe game week 12. If I go without him, I go without him until game week 12. And then I bring him back after. The thing is, I'm wondering, will I be in a position to bring him back in? And we usually don't want to make too many transfers on our defense as well.
Yeah, that's exactly what it's a conundrum for me as well. I had a teams thinking of it without him, and then I saw videos of him around. It's like, how can I not bring him in? So he's confused the hell out of me now. And if you don't bring him now, I find a way of how you're going to get him in, or you'll be left behind. You'll be left behind.
Yeah, so I'm like, there's going to be a lot of tinkering up.
If he's not fit, then it's okay.
If he's not fit, it's okay. But if Klopp says he's fit and he's going to play against Watford, and Watford is a good fixture to target as well, then I'm like, I have a problem. Manquillo, is he going to play? Maybe not. You need to find a 4 million defender. To do all of this, but but that's the team I have right now. Any thoughts on the squad?
No, front three is what I was thinking as well. To be honest, as much as I want Jimenez, Hwang is what I can afford, and he looks okay. And then you've got three of my midfielders in there, which I have. But it's a strong team. Duffy, I wasn't going to bring him if I didn't have him.
Yeah, that's why when you guys were saying that, I was like, Because the problem is when
you've probably got a lot of value out of him.
I've had he's got a price rise as well, so I've got a price rise from him as well. So
that's good. Strong team.
It's good to go. Very strong team. I like your bench as well. It's pretty deep. Like all of your 13 or 15 players, they're all playing. I don't think I would
Yeah.
steal. I mean, I'm just surprised why.
No, I'll change this to Foster.
Yeah.
Because as soon as you said the plain Foster
Yeah.
for Sanchez's 2 fixtures, and I was looking
Yeah.
at Foster's fixtures, and I was like, ooh, okay,
No,
yeah,
not
that could be an option.
Foster's actually a playing goalkeeper as well.
Yeah, that's what.
So I think that's, if I was to wildcard, 100% Foster.
That's the only
$4 million goalkeeper playing.
Yeah, that's what. And before he goes up in price. Where the hell did he go?
I guess right there.
Oh, there you go. Because I was looking at it, and those 2 fixtures, right? Because Liverpool and City against Everton and Southampton. Not too bad. I'd rather play Everton and Southampton than Liverpool and City. So that's the only one thing, I guess. Any other changes that you'll probably make?
No, the City players, Just Cancelo.
I don't know who else to bring.
I mean, there's not
I'm just wondering.
But you can't afford it. That's the thing.
No, I have 2.4 in the bank.
You still have 2.4 in the bank.
Yeah, I can't afford it when I bring Trent in. That 2.4 is for Trent. That's when it gets harder. So that's what I have to decide. I have to wait and see what Klopp says as well.
Yeah, well, I'm tossing up over, like I said, City player midfield.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. But I don't know who. Because their stat against Burnley is also like 5-0 every single time. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, exactly. So
even then, it's very hard. Like, would you go for Mahrez? I've gone for Mahrez before and I've got burnt, and I was like, oh, no, thank you. So I don't know. This is something that I'm going to be tinkering a lot, and I think Abin will also be tinkering with his wildcard team. So that's the wildcard team, and wrapping it up. Price changes. We'll just get into price changes. Where's my team? Upcoming Rafinha going up in price. Duffy going up in price.
Nice.
The moment
Duffy, don't drop Duffy.
Exactly. I'll take the price rise and then decide later. Odegaard, Kovacic, not really anyone. Jimenez will go up soon. Diaz, Foden. We spoke about Foden. Could be an option. Going up in price very soon. Antonio, this guy, man, he keeps going up in price. This is why it becomes really hard to drop him. Every week he's going up in price. But yeah, so those are the price changes. In terms of falls, Maguire, Harrison, no one really that's big per se in terms of falls. So yeah, those are price rises, and probably end it off with panel team that's outscored all of us.
Jesus, outscored all of us. It did.
Yeah.
There you go.
The Vardy captain, bro. I'm telling you.
Keep Vardy captain forever. Don't change him.
Yeah. Where's the panel team? Let me get. There we go. Okay, panel team. Here we go. We can make a transfer if we wanted to, but let's first, before that, this will be the upcoming game week. Who do we captain? Salah? Has to be, right?
Yeah, well, Salah, Lukaku.
Yeah. Are we starting anyone? Do we bring anyone from the bench?
Probably Duffy against Norwich.
For
If Alonso doesn't start, I mean,
Yeah.
Maybe put Duffy as your first sub, unless we start Duffy over Tomiyasu, because we've already got it.
Yeah, I mean, I would put Duffy.
I'll
put Duffy in for someone.
Because I think if Alonso doesn't start, he doesn't come off the bench anyways, so it's not too much of an issue.
Yeah, that's right.
So can have Tomiyasu at first sub. Do we want to make a transfer?
Can't really see an obvious transfer. It's a pretty solid team.
Yeah.
I think maybe bank it.
Yeah.
Bank it?
100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we're going to bank the transfer and see what happens next week. With Salah captain and Lukaku vice captain. Cool. We'll see what happens, how we go next week, and see what happens with this team. We've got it up from 2 million to now 1.87 something in terms of the rankings. Let's see if we can improve on it. All right. So that's basically the end of the video. Thank you to Abin. Thank you to Rush. Good luck, Abin, with your tinkering. We've had for an hour almost. Yes.
I'll be doing that till 8:45 p.m. Saturday.
Yeah. So good luck tinkering, watching all the press conferences from managers. Yeah. And then thank you, Sam, in the chat. Thank you, Dat. Thank you, Kendi. But anyone who else to join chat, if you're new, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. Rush, no wildcard, but he's going to be looking of ways to try and either get Sun in or...
Yeah. Keep wondering. I keep dreaming up. I probably won't sleep that night, but we'll see.
When Sun plays Newcastle, he's like, oh,